Hi, I'm Paula Brown. I'm an animal communicator. My business is The Heart of Conversation. And today I'm so happy to have Nathalie with me. We just did a communication for her wonderful horse, Henry, who has a much fancier name than that. And he is a beautiful horse that is a Grand Prix jumper and one of the highest level jumpers. And I just want to introduce Nathalie and the experience that we had. So, hi, Nathalie, how are you doing?
How are you?
Good, good. And I just wanted to ask you, why did you come for the communication? Did you have a special question in mind?
Yeah, so I've had my horse Henry for 6 years, and he's been a wonderful partner this whole time. And over the last year after I had my son, I felt like we were just not quite communicating as well as we should, and maybe something was bothering him and I wasn't able to put my finger on it. So talking to my friend Stacy that's worked with you several times, she said, you should talk to Paula. Paula's the best. And so after, I talked with her, I communicated with you and did Henry's read, and it was quite fascinating to me, all the things I found out.
Yeah, and as most people know, I do energetic read, and then I do 4 parts of an energetic read, and then I do a telepathic heart-to-heart communication where people get to ask their 5 questions. And so how did you feel about the information you got on the energetic read with Henry's condition at the moment? Did it point out anything or give you any aha moments?
So a couple things that I was concerned about, and I didn't even really express them to you before that, but with the energy read, it came up that his back kind of behind the saddle area was really bothering him, that he wasn't completely comfortable with the saddle, and the top of his head area, it was interesting, and also that his feet were bothering him a little bit. And even though he's not showing any physical issue, those are issues that are bothering him, that since we worked on it, I've addressed some of those things, and I'm already seeing a big difference just working with a couple of those things. With the energy read through the back, I've been concerned for a little bit of time that maybe his saddle was pinching him, just because the energy flow, and I feel like we're not cantering properly to the jumps as we should and things like that. And so in the last few weeks, I've switched to a different saddle and had the saddle fitter come out, and I feel a big difference in the movement in his back and hind legs, which is exciting because it's something I thought, but I kind of had some clarity in trying that after speaking with you. I also have tried a different type of bridle that gives a little less pressure at the top part of his head. It puts the pressure a little farther back where it sits. So I'm feeling like we're really connecting now, more so, which is great. And I know that's, a process that doesn't happen overnight by any means, but I'm starting to feel like we're getting back to where we should be, which is exciting.
That's great. I know that a couple of your questions for the heart-to-heart or the telepathic read was all about getting back and riding him again, because now you could, since your son had arrived and he had a different rider, and he expressed his wishes, his fond wishes to have a lighter rider, and that was you. And it was really nice to reconnect both of you with what you'd already felt. And so it validated, when I was doing the read, I was very validated that he had the right rider now, and he told me what he experienced and some of the difficulties, and hopefully you back on the saddle again will be very pleasing to both him and you, and be a winning combo. So do you think that you can field his feelings and his and needs and wants? Can you trust it a little bit more after the read?
Well, it's funny. So you gave him a read. Wasn't sure which day. And it was funny because then when I spoke with you, I realized you had done a read on Friday night. And then I showed him first thing Saturday. And it was the first time in, I don't know, almost a year. Since I've been showing again, that all of a sudden I was like, wow, we clicked. Everything felt so fluid. And it was like I left the ring with a huge smile on my face, and we won our class by several seconds.
Oh.
Great. And so then I talked to, I think the next day, and I was like, I'm just curious when you had a read with him, because I've never felt so honored as I did on Saturday. And so it was exciting for me too, because, you know, he clearly understands that horse always wants to please. He wants to be your best friend. He doesn't want to do any wrong. And so I think that when he understands that I'm trying to do what's best for him too, he wants to please even more. So that was fun. And then after I spoke with you, I did a Grand Prix that same day, actually, like an hour later. And he was actually was going clear until the second to last jump. And I, as the rider, made the mistake. He was jumping phenomenal, and it was great. And, you know, those are things that happen. That's competition. But I felt like I feel like we're more on track. He's feeling much better. And
good.
He has a personality. So I definitely felt like the energy reads were something, and the heart to heart was something. The questions that I got good answers, things that I thought that I knew, but it was good to have them validated. And it wasn't even like I had to explain that to you. He was able to communicate that with you. And so it's an interesting thing to have that, because, you know, I didn't tell you anything. You were able to express to me exactly my horse's personality and how he is with me. And he's unlike any horse I had. You know, every rider or competitive rider has their little horse of a lifetime, and that's what he is for me. So it's really important that, you know, we're on the same page. So that was really fun.
That is so cool, because a lot of times the connections are heightened and people feel more about trusting their heart, which all these animals are communicating from their heart. They're not logical. I mean, they're not going up to their mind. So I think that's really cool, because he is a very special horse. He's a perfectionist, and he's a love bug at the same time. So he has this soft strength about him, and he needs his head. He always needs his head. And sometimes as riders, we want to rein him in. And he says, definitely, he says, no, you just got to, I'll lead. I know what I'm doing. I'm a pro. So
like personality in the barn too, which it's funny. Like when you walk into the barn, we put him in this one stall. He has a big stall, and it's right next to the cross ties where the horses are, because he loves to be around. He's very social. Not all of the horses are as social and friendly. Like he gets just happy to see everybody, and he's always playing with everybody. He has his little lips in the air. He always wants you to come hug his head and just play. So it's he's just funny.
He's a very special horse and a very strong personality. So I think the two of you will get along really well. Well, what do you have to say about, you know, why would you recommend this for other people, and why? I mean, what's the value?
I think for me especially, sitting there having questions and not, you know, with my horse in my situation in particular, sitting there and having questions and not really having an answer. And it's not like he can really talk to me, even though he's communicating in his own way, like animals do. It's hard for him to just say, Nathalie, I really just need you to do this. So I think that it's pretty amazing what you're able to do as a communicator and explain to me what he's feeling and thinking and what he's saying, and, you know, how he feels about different situations. And I think for horse people in general, it's a really interesting way to be able to connect with your animal. You know, connecting with animals is great. And it's also, being a competitor, we want to connect on a competitive way, I guess, where you're merging and trying to compete for some same goal. So it's just that much more heightened of a connection. So I think it's really great if you're able to enhance that. And I think that's what you were able to help me do, and help validate all those things that I was concerned about or questions I had, and whether or not they really mattered, but they did matter to him the same way I thought they did.
Yeah. And I think that you have an athlete there. He's a pro. And especially with what you're doing with him, it's a partnership. And the partnerships are the hardest to read when you're so close to it. And so it's like me. I have a tough time reading my own animals. And I get hits from them and they go, nah, that couldn't be it. And I'm an animal communicator, and you just have so much emotion and they give so unconditionally. And especially if you're with them and like you two are pros and you've got a kind of a business relationship as well as an athletic, as well as emotional connection. So you're on so many different levels. And I just think that, if it helps the performance and it helps the connection, I think you've won. You've got the secret combination. So, but
I think as a rider, I perform and compete so much better when I have the connection with my horse, with the strength in that connection. So when there's a little bit of a missing link, you're never going to be as competitive and as working as a team as you should be. So I think that you're able to help add those building blocks to make that foundation really, really strong going forward. And so that's why it's so neat talking to you. And I'll be bugging you lots in the future. I'll be bugging
technology.
I don't know what's bringing.
It just gave you 5 stars on your comment. Thank you.
Yes. So anyways, I was just saying it's been very helpful for me. And
good.
I don't know, the flower essences, am I allowed to mention those ones?
Yes.
As well?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. And I kind of read up on all that stuff after we talked as well. And it's really interesting, the flower essences that you go through and the different kind of oils of each flower essence, and stop me if I'm explaining it wrong, but that's my understanding, how different things and smells can help categorize or calm your body in certain ways or make you feel a certain way. And it's interesting how doing a read on an animal or whoever, you can see those areas that have a little weakness that need help, and you can kind of help naturally enhance them. And I think that's really cool. And I think that's a fun thing. And I think as a person, that's a great thing for me too. Everybody gets so excited about going all on different crazy ways. But I think if you can go more homeopathic like that to really help everybody feel their best, I think that's awesome. And those I would be able to identify on my own. I would need your help in identifying stuff like that. So I think that's really neat.
Yeah, actually, in an energetic read, I do a flower essence read, and flower essences are water and the essence of the plant. They're not herbs. And so it treats the emotional body. And as you were saying, it brings more harmony into a situation where there may have been lumps and bumps that have caused a dis-ease or a non-harmony in a person or in an animal. And it brings it back to harmony. You can never get rid of the baggage, but it harmonizes so you can be smoother. It treats the emotional body, which is really cool. And these flower essences are water, and so they don't interact with any chemicals. And it's really natural to treat all the bodies, the emotional, the physical, and the spiritual. I mean, everything has them. Trees, people, animals, they all have bodies. And once you start paying attention to the different bodies, and it's really neat because the energy read defines how an animal feels. And so by the time you get to the telepathic read, your question, you can understand why they're answering in certain ways, because the energy is either in harmony or needs a little bit of help. So I think that's great that you're enjoying them. And people now need to be taking the same essences as their animals because they're reflecting and they're absorbing your energy. So, and you get a greater connection too.
Yeah, no, it's interesting to read up on it because I think a lot more people do it than I even realized. I'm not exposed to a lot of different things. And then I was talking to my mom about it, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I've done that plenty of times." I was like, "Why didn't you ever share this, Mom?" She's like, "Yeah, it's really helpful." I'm like, okay, well, that's what I'm doing. So
everybody gets the message at different times, so don't kill yourself over it. Yeah, it's really good. And Well, thank you so much, Nathalie, for sharing all of your good points and your comments. I really appreciate the feedback. And if you have any questions, just give me a jingle and I'll tell people how to get a hold of me now. And we're going to share the screen if I can get this phone number and stuff up. Me and technology. There we go. So I'm again Paula Brown of the Heart of Conversation. I'm here today with Nathalie, and we just did a read with her horse, Henry. And there's my phone number, and my website is www.animalhearttalk.com. And you can give me a jingle or write me an email. And I'm going to stop the self-promo thing now and get back to Nathalie if I can. There we go. But I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for letting me speak to the heart of your animal and to also speak to your heart. I just so appreciate every read. And every read is different because we're all unique. And we all have changing aspects and unique aspects. So, you can read animals forever and it'll all be different. Thank you.
To the next one. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nathalie. And again, this is Paula Brown. So give me a call and thank you. Thank you, Nathalie. Bye.